my heartfelt gratitude to each of you for the investment that it took for you to learn this music to share today, and to each of the youth praise team members and young adult praise team members who have all, and Joel, thank you so much. Our heartfelt gratitude for how you brought us into the presence of God. And to Carrie and Pastor Mike and to all of those who have invested time in nurturing this space where we share out our gifts of praise. What a gift it is, isn't it? To lift up our voices and to remember the greatest story. In the midst of all of the voices that we hear and all of the stories that we are told, we remember the story that anchors us. The true story, as Lawrence said so well, that is our identity in Christ. So you are children of God, no matter your age. Hi, child of God. Hi, child of God. Hello, children of God. Oh, wow. Hello, children of God. Hello, beloved children of God of all ages. I invite you to think of this story. It's hard, like I said, for us to imagine because the disciples didn't know where the story would end. At least they weren't aware of it at the moment. These disciples who abandoned and denied and buried their leader. Can you picture it? Thinking you'll never see Jesus again? Can you feel it? Did we get this wrong? And then having to make the decision, what will we do now? And the moment I want to pick up this story in the book of belonging is when Mary and the other women decided, here's what we'll do now. This is what we will do. Let us turn to that story now from the book of belonging. A surprise visitor. It was so early, the sun was still asleep. The air was dark and heavy. Mary Magdalene's heart felt heavy too. Cold dew tickled and trickled along her ankles as she and her friends moved through the garden towards Yeshua's tomb, carrying spices to prepare his body. Okay, here's the plan, she whispered. I'll pull from the front and you two push from the back. Pull, Joanna said, laughing and wiping her eyes. My friend, you're strong, but even you can't pull a stone that size. Salome and the other women looked on, speechless in their grief. It was Sunday morning, and Jesus had been dead since Friday afternoon. It still felt like a bad dream that they just might wake up from if they waited long enough. Rounding the corner, Mary Magdalene stopped so abruptly that the women slammed into one another, bonk, 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 in their shock and their surprise. What a bizarre sight to behold. The heavy stone was rolled away from the entrance of Jesus' tomb, and on top of it perched a someone. Was it an angel? Was it a person? The someone shone like lightning in a robe of blazing white, and flopped on the ground beneath the someone lay Roman soldiers. They had been sent to guard Jesus' tomb, but they had fainted at the sight. He's not here. He's alive again? It was impossible, wasn't it? They had watched Jesus suffer and died. They had seen his battered body being laid in the tomb. But here was this someone telling them a pretty incredible something. It made the women question what impossible might really mean. They'd watched Jesus calm storms with his words. They'd watched him heal diseases and multiply food and repair broken families and systems and hearts. He was so much bigger and brighter than all their rules and words and beliefs. Was it impossible that he was bigger than death too? So with whoops and wails of wonder, the women hurried off. He's not here. He's alive again. But Mary Magdalene trailed behind, crying and crying, a storm of feelings building in her mighty heart. Grief, joy, confusion, awe. Why are you crying? Who are you looking for? As I immersed myself in this passage this week, I heard God saying, why are you crying? I wonder what you cry out to God about right now. And who are you looking for? Came a voice jolly and gentle and oh so familiar. She turned, squinting against the first rays of the rising sun, and saw a man. Who else could be in the garden this early? A gardener, perhaps? I'm looking for Jesus, she said as her heart thumped and jumped. Mary, came the voice again, and this time she knew. Is there a better feeling in the world than someone you love calling out your name? Gladness filled her from head to toe as she shouted out, "My teacher!" And she flung herself at Jesus, because of course it was Jesus. Of course he was alive. It had seemed impossible, but if her good teacher had taught her anything, it was that nothing is impossible with God. Can I get a witness? Mary clung to her friend. The bad dream was over, and Jesus' aliveness made all her fears and worries slide away, like shadows being chased off by the sunshine. Death was not the end. What other impossible things were possible? The sun rose and the birds trilled, and Jesus laughed. It's time to let me go, Mary. Go and tell my friends that I'm alive. Mary went out from the garden, her grin splitting wide open. Every story Jesus had ever told her, every true name he had ever called her, all played like a lovely song in the back of her mind. Something new was happening, something wild and mysterious, and oh, so very good. Back in the city, surrounded by Jesus' friends and students, Mary, Tower of Truth, stood tall and shouted the best truth she had ever known. Jesus is risen. He is risen indeed. Would you say that with me? In response, Jesus is risen. Jesus is risen. Jesus is risen. And it's this truth, it's this story, it's this grounding that shapes all of the rest, because we come with our own impossible situations. We live in a world and a nation facing the impossible. And in that place, we declare Jesus is risen. He is risen indeed. Easter is that glorious reminder that, as Frederick Buechner put it, the worst thing is never the last thing. The worst thing is never the last thing. The God who called out her name, Mary, calls out your name. God who calls out Meadow and Michelle and Max and Jim and Jenny, each one, God whispers your name even now, declaring to you that what you hold on your heart and your mind that feels impossible is possible with God. I wonder if you could just pause for a moment. Could you close your eyes and imagine for a moment Jesus asking you that question? Why are you crying? Jesus, I'm crying because someone I loved received a cancer diagnosis. Jesus, I'm crying because people are doing terrible things in your name. Jesus, I'm crying because people I love are living in fear. Why are you crying? And who are you looking for today? I'm looking for you. And do you hear him calling out your name as you tell him why you are crying, as you tell him what you're looking for and who you're looking for today? Can you hear the voice of our God calling out your name, beloved child of God? Today, we're about to sing this song praising his name, declaring this name that is worthy, the name that is above all names. And it's this name that we praise, this God that we praise, who is calling out your name right now and who knows your heart intimately right now.
I'm Pastor Tara VinCross, and we're so glad that you're here as a part of this Azure Hills Church community.